My guest at this time is a mixed martial artist, currently signed to Bellator, also the subject of the new movie Notorious Nick. It is Nick Newell. Nick, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me here today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be on the show and to get to share my story.
Yeah, man. Very exciting, by the way. Congratulations. We're recording this on Friday, August 6th. The movie came out at midnight. I believe it's available everywhere you can rent movies. How does it feel to know the movie's finally out there for people to be able to watch and give you feedback on it and everything like that?
It would be interesting to hear everyone's feedback, obviously. I think it's a movie that you can enjoy with your family. I think it's a movie that everyone can watch. It's an all ages appropriate movie, and it's a story inspired by my life.
I love how you say it's an all ages appropriate movie, which I'm sure it is, but I watched the trailer, man. It's very well produced, but a lot of violence, man. There's a lot of dudes getting hit in the face and things like that in this movie as well.
Yeah, I mean punching and sport and stuff like that. I mean, obviously, maybe I wouldn't show my 2-year-old, but I'm talking like
Yeah.
like 7 and up, maybe.
Sure. Yeah, well, it looks really great, man. And your story is very compelling. We're a pro wrestling outlet, Nick. So I don't know that our audience as familiar with you as maybe some of the MMA outlets that you're talking to. So for fans that are just getting to know you here for the first time, you got a whole movie you can go learn. Notorious Nick, you can watch the whole thing, get the whole story. But do you mind briefly just kind of telling people a bit about your backstory and why exactly you make such a great figure for a movie like this?
Yeah, I can see all your toys back there. I have
Thank
many
you.
very similar toys, a toy collection. I was
Yes.
going through. My son went through and found my giant Gonzalez action figure. That might actually be worth some money.
Yeah. Well, I think you've got some friends here in the pro wrestling action figure space that we could talk about in a little bit. But
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
for sure. We could talk wrestling, but yeah, I mean, tell them a little bit about you, man,
Um,
because you have a really interesting story to tell. That's why you're the centerpiece of this movie here.
as you can see, I only have one hand. I'm good all around. My life is good. Everything is good. But I'm a professional mixed martial arts fighter. I have a record of 16-4. I should be 18-2. Some of these judges are bugging, but um, I fight for Bellator, which is one of the biggest leagues in the world, and I won a world title back in 2012, and I'm still fighting. And this movie is based on about my journey there from nothing to something, and it does have ties to pro wrestling because for me, pro wrestling was one of the reasons why I started actually wrestling, and me doing amateur wrestling was the reason why I did mixed martial arts, so it all ties together.
Okay. So from day one, you were a pro wrestling fan, and that's why. And so you're what, 34, 35, something like that?
I'm 35.
35. Okay. I'm 36. So we grew up side by side watching the same wrestling, the highs of the Attitude Era and the Monday Night Wars. And so that's what grabbed you and made you want to get into to fighting and things like that. Yes?
Yeah, I'm way back. So I think the first wrestler that ever caught my attention was the Ultimate Warrior, and I was a big Warrior fan. And then I kind of gravitated over to Bret Hart, big time Bret Hart fan. And actually, if you look up Shawn Michaels versus Diesel, the
Oh
match
yeah.
at WrestleMania, you can
Oh
see young Nick Newell. When Pamela Anderson sits down, I'm behind her. I touch her hair, and then I adjust my Intercontinental title.
yeah. Wow, dude, that's crazy, man. That
Yeah,
that was
yeah. If you look it up on YouTube, you can find the clip. I don't know if you clip it in here somehow or whatever, but
sure.
it's definitely there, and it's definitely really me. I'm just a little kid out there, and when Diesel sits down, Pamela Anderson, I'm right behind her, and I got the Intercontinental belt. I got my Diesel glove. I got it all on, and the my love of wrestling is what brought me to do wrestling. I had a big obsession with wrestling, and I loved it. And I got away from it for a little bit, but then I started uh, falling back in love with it again. And my neighbor, we used to watch wrestling all the time together. Right before we went to high school, was like, "I'm gonna join the amateur wrestling team." And I
Sure.
said, you know what? That's like kind of a good idea. I think that I'd like to try that too. It would be cool. Like I can't have you learning how to beat me up. I gotta be able to defend for myself. So I joined wrestling, and I kind of my focus shifted over to that, and I fell in love with the sport.
So real quick, what was the reaction when you show up wanting to wrestle? Were they very supportive of you? Were they like a little worried about it? Like what was the initial reaction? You said, I want to be a wrestler, and you show up there.
I remember actually one of my old captains, his name's Jim Batigliero, we called him Bow Tags. He walked in, he's like, "Hey, who's wrestling?" And I was like, in the class. He's like, "Anyone joining wrestling?" I'm like, "I am." He's like, "Okay, I'll see you at I'll see you tomorrow at 3." And I went to a captain's practice, and I worked out so hard there. It was just running, but it was like only maybe like a mile, but I never done anything like that in my
Yeah.
life. And I was like, "Oh man, these guys are intense. Like I gotta be like that." And I joined the team, and I think everyone was pumped because I was small. So I was a 103 pounder. The team didn't have a 103 pounder. So they wanted me.
Yeah.
I was there to possibly win, and definitely take some forfeits. So I was welcome to the team pretty open.
Damn. Oh, that's awesome, man. All right. Well, fast forward here a little bit. Let's get to the crossover with the wrestling stuff. Right. So you grow up, you're a wrestling fan. How do you wind up being roommates with Kurt Hawkins? What goes on here? How did that come about?
That's just a coincidence.
Yeah.
So I went to Western New England University, Western New England College back in the day, and he was on the wrestling team the year before me. So he was 1 year older than me, and he hung out with a bunch of the other guys, and the guys that were still on the wrestling team. Those were his friends, and so my sophomore year, they had their own like room in one of the upperclassmen housing. And I was younger, but they had a spot, so they asked me to join because I hung out with them all the time. So I ended up moving in. I wasn't directly in his room, but I was, we shared it's like we shared an apartment. And it went well. He's a good guy, and it's just a coincidence that he ended up in the WWE, and I ended up, fighting MMA, and we went to school together.
Yeah, because I read that you guys, well, we watched the Ultimate Fighter and Raw together. Like, were you hanging out and were you friendly? And hey, this looks cool, that kind of stuff. Did you have an inkling, I guess, that he would be going on to doing what he's doing now, or no?
Oh, we used to go watch him all the time. So we would go down to Long Island and watch him and Zack Ryder, or now he's Brian Meyers, Matt Cardona, their real
Yeah.
names. And they would wrestle, and like they were tag team partners with Mick Foley once, and I was there for that. And that was kind of how they got discovered, actually. And I was there, and we used to just go and cheer them on, and the pop they got from the crowd was unreal. So I always kind of believed in him and believed that he could do something with it, especially how serious he was. I didn't think it was like a stupid little pipe dream. I never put that past anyone, especially when they're as dedicated to something, and live for it like he did. So he was very serious about his craft, and in love with it. So it did nothing surprised me.
Damn. Do you guys still keep in touch? I mean, you guys have obviously both found a lot of success. So, like, I don't know if you guys are still friends or not.
I would say he's my friend still. We never had like a falling out or anything like that, or even as little as a disagreement about anything.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. We don't really keep in touch as much as we used to. It's been a couple years. I think he pocket dialed me maybe a couple years ago, and we talked for a little bit.
Okay.
But maybe I should reach out to him. I know he's doing well. He's got a beautiful family, and we obviously still follow each other online. So nothing but the best for him.
Do you keep up with wrestling still? Have you seen what he did in WWE and watched Impact and everything like that, or no?
Yeah, now he's in Impact, and he's doing his thing, and I'm proud of him. He's a talent. He belongs on the big show. It's not easy to get there, and he definitely worked his butt off to get there. So I'm happy for him, and I'd like to see him get a little bit more of a push.
Did you see the Cardona death match? Did you see the riot that Matt Cardona caused, or no?
Well, I thought it was funny that they actually were going against each other because they were tag team partners for so long, and I've always just supported both of them so much. So it was good.
Yeah.
It was good to see them go against each other, no matter who won, But it was it's definitely been a wild journey, and it's funny that someone finally said, you know what, like it's time they face off.
So what about you, man? Like, you obviously are Bellator, right? But what are your do you want to do anything in the pro wrestling space? Do you have any interests? What is your vibe there?
So I have a lot of connections to pro wrestling. You know, my CM Punk's a big fan. He's been supporting me for a long time, so
Oh, cool.
I think that he's a good dude, a cool dude. Been a real one on the Nick Newell the Nick Newell train for quite a minute. A bunch of wrestlers tweet me and follow me on Twitter, and I've been training actually for probably well over a decade with Tom Matera, who was Antonio from the Heartthrobs in the WWE.
Oh, snap.
and
Okay.
and he's good. He's been training for a long time,
Yeah, I
man. He
know he
just
is. I know he
he's
is.
never
Yeah.
he doesn't want to fight or anything like that, but he just trains, and he's pretty good. He's a real martial artist, and
Yeah.
I've been training with him for over a decade. So I have a connection there, and then I have an up and coming wrestler that's really entertaining. I go see his local shows. Wrecking Ball Legursky, he comes
Okay.
by my gym to train sometimes, and I'm looking forward to him getting a call up to the big show. So I obviously follow wrestling and love wrestling, and it's the reason why I fight. So I owe a lot to the sport of pro wrestling, because no fighting, no wrestling, no amateur wrestling, no amateur wrestling, no fighting, no fighting, no movie, no Nick Newell, no who I am today. So I owe a lot of my success to that.
A couple things real quick as a follow up. You say you've been training have you been training to be a pro wrestler? Like you're a trained pro wrestler, like on the sly? Is that what you're saying?
No, 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 no,
Oh,
no.
okay.
I can. We we were doing the Wrecking Ball was here one time, and I let him slap me in the chest.
Okay, but you're
And
not taking bumps or anything. Because I was a little confused. You said you've been
I
training
was
with
like, hey
Antonio
man,
for 10
I
years. I
don't
was
think
like,
I
wait.
I don't think I would let you. I don't think you would. I would let you do that ever again.
Okay. So you
And then
don't
I smacked him, and he no sold it.
okay. So your ambition is not in a squared circle. Your ambition is to continue to fight in an octagon, it sounds like, correct?
Yeah, I might. Maybe I'll do a run and hit someone with a chair sometime. But my love and my ambition is in mixed martial arts.
Has WWE or AEW ever reached out to you about doing anything or showing an interest in you or no?
No, but if they ever do, I definitely would love to come down. I have a bunch of friends that work for the WWE, also because I'm in Connecticut. So a lot of people I know work for WWE in Stamford, and so they have all the avenues to reach me, but they have not yet.
Well, with AEW, though, I mean, the Bellator connection, you have Jake Hager there, right? I guess
True.
I think Lashley's still technically a contracted Bella. I think he has got like a couple fights left on his Bellator deal, whatever. But like Hager, I don't know if you'd ever talk to Hager. Is there's been any talk with him over there on the AEW side?
Yeah, me and Hager are cool, but I'm also not like, it'd be like if I was a pro wrestler and I was like, hey, I want to fight, but I never trained fighting before. I don't know how to take a bump. I don't know how to do this stuff. I'm just friends with these guys, so maybe once I'm done fighting, I can start goofing off a little bit and learn how to do a couple tricks. I'm pretty good on a microphone, actually. I'm really good at talking trash and coming up with creative things. So I think
Hey,
I think I might have to bust out my pro wrestling character, Bobby Casablanca, sometime.
Bobby Casablanca, that's a great name. And
Yeah.
Dan Lambert is down there in AEW right now talking a lot of trash, right?
Oh, Lambert's a buddy of mine. I love Dan Lambert. Top notch guy right there, Dan Lambert.
Well, he's talking a lot of trash. He brought Amanda Nunez to a show like 2 weeks ago. So I don't know, man. Like, if you want to talk trash, that seems to be what Dan's like favorite thing to do is right now.
Yeah,
And
maybe I'll reach out to Lambert, but then Amanda Nunes might beat me up too. So
all right, last wrestling question. I have a couple more questions about the movie. You mentioned CM Punk being an advocate of yours. Like, hard to pass up a chance to ask you a bit about him. He's just like the center of pro wrestling right now with the reports that he could be headed to AEW. Do you think he got a bad rap in MMA, or I don't know? Like, what do you feel about him transitioning back to pro wrestling after giving the MMA thing a try?
I mean, props to the guy, right? I mean, you can't knock someone for taking an opportunity that's presented to them. He's a big draw, and you don't know if you can swim if you don't ever jump in the pool, right? And he took the risk and he put himself out there, and he's a big fan and supporter of MMA for a while, and he went in there and it didn't work out, and it takes it probably take most people at least 10 years of training to get to that level, and he did like 2 years of training. So what do you what do you expect? He went and he tried, and Mickey Gall's a tough fight, and
He is.
Mike Jackson has been training forever too. Maybe Mike Jackson isn't the top of the top UFC fighter, but he's someone that's polished and has a kickboxing record and has been competing for a long time. So it's it's it is what it is, man. He gave it a go, and sometimes it works and sometimes it didn't. But you don't want to sit back when you die and wish you tried something you didn't. It's better to try and fail than not try at all, in my opinion. So he's back at wrestling, hopefully. And I don't know. I'm not like close enough to get the secrets, but I support him in whatever decision he decides to make.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about Notorious Nick here. So this is cool, man. A movie about you. So like, how much input did you have on this film? What was your involvement in the actual making of this movie outside of just existing?
They gave me the initial script. I looked it over. I gave them some changes. They took a lot of them and they moved some things around, and then other things they were like, hey, look, we got a movie to make, so we got to keep it, and I'm like, okay, it's not a big deal. You guys know how to make a movie, and I have a little bit better of a relationship with my father than the movie indicates, but we did have times that were very rocky. The guys that I fought didn't all hate me because I had one hand, like the guy I fight at the end, Rich Reynolds, is based off Eric Reynolds, who is actually maybe the nicest, most professional guy that I've ever met. It's like, hey, Nick, you deserve a chance just like everyone else. If you ever need someone to fight you, I hope to compete against you one day. Like, super nice guy. And the guy in the movie's like, you freak, you take chances from real fighters. And it's like, I hope that I should probably call him and be like, hey, listen, buddy, I didn't write this, okay? Like, I tell everyone you're a good guy. But like, he's got to watch it with his family and be like, this is stupid, like, but
Yeah.
he's real. But when you sit down and you watch the movie, watch the movie, you realize that this is a movie that they have to make. It covers a lot of things in my life that were very important, like meeting Jim Abbott. Obviously I met him when I was younger in the movie. I do it when I was older. My relationship with my friend Abby. The fact that I was not a good wrestler and I became a good wrestler because I refused to give up and I worked hard, and I transitioned this over to MMA. Then at first I lose my first fight. That was in as an amateur. And I come back, I win 13 fights in a row, and I win a world title. It's crazy. It's crazy to, it was a wild journey for me, and they capture that. And the acting is so good in the movie, and the story is so good in the movie, that it's not something just for martial arts fans or wrestling fans or whatever. It's something for everyone. It's something that everyone can enjoy, and obviously, as long as you're okay with having your kids watch someone get punched in the face, it's a good movie for the whole family. And
Yeah.
and it's something that I think will have a lot of staying power. I think it will be pretty big this week. I think a lot of people are going to end up watching it and ordering it, and they're going to tell their friends, and their friends is going to go on for a while because it's a really well made movie, and it goes beyond martial
Yeah.
arts.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Rocky-esque, right? In a way.
Yeah, very much like Rocky. But my character is nothing like, yo, I was thinking that. Like it's like more like me. He's more like
Sure.
me. So it's it's fun. It's fun to watch, and I would watch it as soon as possible, or go to the theaters or download it anywhere that you can download movies. Anywhere you can rent or buy movies, you can get my movie. You can rent it for like $6 or buy it for $10. Like, either way is good, and either way supports me and what I'm doing, and it's been a crazy journey, but it's been a fun one.
Yeah, man, for sure. And so this is it's got to be a little weird that somebody else is like playing you. Cody Christian is the actor who plays you in the film. What was it like working with Cody? Did he have a lot of questions for you, or did he not engage you? Like, what was that relationship like there with the guy who plays you in the movie?
We actually didn't talk till recently, till after he did it, but I
Okay.
think he did. I think he did. I think he did an amazing job. He did a really good job of capturing the character and my essence, and he made me likable. And he's a handsome guy, and he's in good shape. So what more can you ask for? You know, it's he's cool, down to earth dude, and reminds me a lot of myself, which is a good thing. And I told him that, you know, when the time comes and he needs a movie made about himself, I'm gonna play him.
That's good. It goes both ways. You can pay it
Yeah,
forward. I
I
see that.
am. I am. Yeah.
How how does is there any chance that Bellator helps you promote this thing? How does I mean talk to Scott Coker about it or anything like that?
Yeah, Bellator they already posted on their Instagram the
Oh, did they?
promotion
Okay,
of the
I'm
movie.
sorry,
Yeah,
just
and it's
wondering.
gonna be like they're gonna be promoting it at their show and stuff like that. So Bellator's got my back. I love Bellator. They're the best.
Cool, man. Yeah, and very flashy that Scott Coker is. Like the entrances in Bellator usually have a little bit more pro wrestling flavor than those UFC entrances, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
it's way better. Way better production value. They treat the fighters great, and everything is good. No complaints about Bellator. Love you, Bellator.
Wonderful. All right, hey Nick, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us about the movie. Tell the wrestling fans out there about your fandom. So now everybody in the wrestling universe, go transfer your energy to Nick in the MMA universe, right? And go find the movie and everything like that. Nick, last hard sell here. Anything you want to tell people to follow you, support you, the movie, anything like that?
Yeah, I just the Notorious Nick movie available everywhere you can rent or buy a movie, and in a lot of theaters too. Maybe like do a little local search and see where it's playing around you. Go take the drive, or just sit down with your family and order it and watch it, or your friends, or whatever. And follow me on social media. It says it right there at Notorious Newell. I got my regular feed posts, and then I post some pretty ridiculous stuff on my story. So if you guys follow, I have I'm known for having a decent Instagram, people say. So follow me, tweet me, do whatever, support me. I appreciate everyone that has my back.